The suspect fires a single shot, missing the clerk. It's clear that this suspect means business. The clerk nervously obeys the suspect, but what the gunman doesn't know is that his victim is armed as well. In his right rear pocket, the clerk is carrying a loaded pistol. The victim tries to keep the gunman at bay while he fumbles for his gun. But the suspect sees the cashier's weapon and opens fire. Despite 7 rounds being shot, neither the suspect nor the clerk are injured in this gunfight. The money is recovered a few blocks away, and 3.5 weeks later, the suspect is arrested, thanks to this surveillance video.
If a victim decides to arm themselves during the commission of a robbery, they will escalate the violence or the potential of violence by the suspect against them. He now perceives a threat coming from the victim and is likely to respond first with the use of his weapons.
But guns aren't the only weapons used in self-defense. A customer enters a liquor store in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He approaches cashier Debbie Ellison and demands all her money, warning that he holds a gun in his pocket. But when the suspect turns away, Debbie catches sight of his alleged weapon and sees that what he's packing is far from dangerous. Debbie gives a signal to her partner, Jean Casey, who's been stocking shelves in the back of the store. Without warning, Jean cuts loose with a bottle of Thunderbird. Then Debbie serves up a second round with some fine Canadian whiskey. As blood flows from a cut on his forehead, the suspect pulls out his weapon of choice, a deadly hair comb. Shaken and stirred, the suspect flees the store, with Debbie and Jean in hot pursuit. He manages to escape in a getaway car, but is later apprehended more than 1,000 miles away in Florida and sentenced to 20 years in prison. For Jean, who was on her second day of the job, and Debbie, this is one instance when justice is served with a twist. Surveillance cameras can provide a glimpse into the criminal mind. And as this video shows, some burglars are not very bright. The suspect tries to conceal his identity from surveillance cameras by placing a plastic bag over his head, but without eye holes. He becomes disoriented and smashes into a display case. The suspect leaves the store, but he's not ready to give up. He returns, this time with a flashlight and eye holes. Now he is able to escape with $1,600 worth of electronic equipment. This is what the suspect looks like without a plastic bag over his head. He was arrested when someone recognized that he was wearing a security uniform under his getup.
Once identification was made, they picked him up, interviewed him, and recovered the property. He's a long way from being a mastermind at doing criminal acts. If they were all with this type of criminal mind, we could catch everybody that does a crime.
It seems that some criminal minds are alike.
Okay.
Thank you, man. Have a nice evening.
In Universal City, Texas, a paper bag is now the disguise of choice for this clueless criminal.
Hey, look at unknown caller. You have a gun. I ain't playing.
But the suspect is not really armed, and the cashier can't take him seriously with a paper bag on his head. But when a robbery goes bad, suspects can resort to a frightening and desperate tactic: seizing hostages. Mexico City, 1996. Police sharpshooters train their rifles on the entrance of a bank. Earlier in the day, a holdup was foiled by police, but the gunman remains inside, and he's taken 25 hostages. After tense negotiations, police convince the criminal to release most of his captives. But the suspect still holds 2 hostages and now demands a getaway car.
Que el cuate se trae 2 pistolas y aparte se abrió la chamarra y que trae una granada y que se está cubriendo con su prima de ella y otra muchacha.
Day turns to night as the stalemate continues and tension grows. Finally, the suspect appears at the bank's entrance, clutching the terrified manager. As he talks to the negotiator, the robber is highly agitated and clearly dangerous. Also held nearby, the second hostage. The suspect positions his captives behind the escape car. He also continues to yell out orders regarding his escape. By keeping the hostages close, the gunman makes it impossible for police marksmen to shoot. Feeling confident he's in control of the situation, the robber moves slowly toward the car with his human shields. He then slides into the back seat. What the suspect doesn't notice is special agents taking up positions behind the car. Finally, the officers are ready to take action. Six hours after it began, the crisis is over. 2 agents wrench open the car doors, pulling the hostages out of harm's way, while a third fires from behind the vehicle, fatally wounding the gunman. According to police, who oversaw the deadly assault, violence was their only option.
Porque tenemos que salvarle la vida a los rehenes. Y además...
¿Salieron bien librados los rehenes, señor? ¿Los rehenes salieron bien librados?
Todos, todos.
By turning a failed holdup into a hostage drama, this robber has paid with his life. But when a suspect takes a hostage, it's anyone's guess how the crisis will end, especially when victims take matters into their own hands. A multi-camera surveillance system rolls as this Midwestern convenience store opens for business. A man exits the store empty-handed. 20 seconds later, he returns, this time armed with a gun.
Get back in here. Okay. Get in here. Tell him get in.
The owner of the store tries to escape, but the gunman forces him back inside.
Lock the door.
If there's any question that this robber means business, a single pull of the trigger ends all doubts.
Get over here.
The suspect moves into the camera's range, revealing a frightening turn of events. He now holds the owner's 17-year-old son hostage.
I need the door, man. Who got the key? Where's the key? Get this for please.
A customer enters, oblivious to the crime that's taking place.
Oh, man.
The father uses this distraction to draw a gun and run to the other side of the store. This small-time robbery has now escalated into a full-scale standoff. The son speaks in Arabic, translating the robber's demands to his father. Tension builds as each man tries to talk the other into giving up his weapon.
This is my last. Okay, I give you money. Put it down. I give you money. Leave, lady. Put it down. Leave, lady. Tell him put it down. Down. Put it down.
The father throws a handful of cash on the floor, but it's not enough to satisfy the gunman.
Put it down. If it's your father, he don't like you very much.
The father rushes to another part of the store, making the gunman more nervous.
You stole it for the police. I got to go. Take this money.
Afraid that police are on their way, the suspect finally flees the store. The father gives chase and opens fire out on the street.
Right, little man.
The suspect was never caught. That no one was killed or injured during this robbery attempt is nothing short of miraculous.
Should you become the victim of a robbery, certainly don't argue with the robber. Don't use a weapon. Don't fight. Don't taunt the robber, and don't follow the robber when he leaves or chase him.
But some robbers are so inept, they can't help but get caught. Ashland, Ohio. On his way to work, police officer Rick Super stops at a convenience store for a cup of coffee and to visit friends.
You're in early tonight. A little bit.
He notices a suspicious character just out of the camera's range.
Yeah, he was looking at me kind of strange when I was talking to you.
With Officer Super only a few feet away, the man approaches the counter.
How you doing? You want to lock that door for me? Huh? Lock the door. Lock what door? Lock that door.
The criminal holds an 8-inch knife, forcing Officer Super into action.
Back over here. You hold it right there, buddy. Put that knife down. Lay down on the ground. Get on the ground. Get out on the ground.
The officer tells the clerk to press the alarm button.
Don't you move, my friend. You feel like you know what that is?
Minutes later, several more officers arrive to haul in the suspect. For Officer Super, this convenience store robbery has turned out to be the most convenient arrest of his life.
The suspect has to work himself up into a position where he's willing to go in and confront the victim with violence to take their property. He gets what they call tunnel vision, and he focuses strictly on the cash register and strictly on the clerk and pays no attention to who else is in the store.
You hold it right there, buddy.
Belle Chase, Louisiana. A surveillance camera rolls as a night clerk goes through her evening routine. But she's about to learn just how fearless a robber can be. The clerk narrowly escapes as the suspect crashes a stolen pickup through the front door. The suspect's aim isn't to make a grand entrance, but to rip out the cash machine that's bolted to the floor. With the cash machine knocked loose, the thief pulls it by the power cord. But the cord snaps. The fall barely slows this determined desperado. He single-handedly lugs his loot into the truck and drives off. The pickup is found minutes later, but the fugitive and cash machine are gone. With his willingness to crash for cash, this suspect shows just how far greed will drive some criminals. Not all robbers use violence to pull off a heist. Some just use their wits. Kansas City, Missouri. A cash machine at a convenience store is reported to be out of order.
A woman came in and said that she was having problems. The machine gave her a receipt saying that the transaction was complete and she didn't receive any money.
Later, a woman dressed as a security guard enters with a man in a black jacket.
She was wearing a uniform type outfit with a tie, and she had a badge on and a clipboard in her hand.
She claims that they've come to repair the broken ATM. What the clerk doesn't realize is that this woman is no security guard, and this cash machine is far from broken.
They went back there and was messing around with it, and they come up and said that they wasn't going to be able to make the repairs there. They were going to have to take it.
The male accomplice even borrows a dolly from the store to wheel out the machine. As the fake security guard chats with a customer, the machine, filled with thousands of dollars, is casually rolled out the door.
She was real nice and friendly, and she talked and joked around with the customers.
These crooks may seem clever, but they're not as smart as they think. By pulling off the robbery in full view of a surveillance camera and leaving behind fingerprints, police have all they need to catch this deceptive duo and send them to jail.